Hello everyone, my name is Vivi Kalista Putri Alia. Today I'm going to presenting about speech acts. So for the first is, what is speech act? Speech act is used to in our daily life. People use speech act for interaction with people every day. People are used to speak or ask for information, state something, or even give an order to someone. Speech acts are spoken actions that resolve something, such as greetings, offense, praises, admit, apologize, and so on. Speech act is very important in human daily life for communication. Before people speak to someone, people need a language to act the speech. So here, to be precise, I'm making it into the point. So the speech act is the study of the meaning and function of an utterance. And then the speech act is the utterance that occurs, and act refers to an action. And the speech act consists of words that predisposition a person to perform what the speaker says. Next is about there are three categories of speech acts. Number one is locutionary. Locutionary is the basic act of utterance or producing a meaningful linguistic expression. One of the requirements to meet in performing locutionary acts is that both the speaker and the hearer share the same language. Otherwise, there will be misunderstanding or the meaning intended will not be understood by the hearer. And the next is illusionary. Illusionary is an act that is often used with the term speech act. In illusionary, the same utterances can be different because of forces influenced by the context of use. For example, by saying put it out may have a different kind of force behind that. The speaker may say that because he tries to stop a lady smoking in a smoke-free area, or he sees a window curtain is on fire. That's for the example. And the next is perlocutionary. Speakers perform perlocutionary acts by expecting to affect hearers' behavior. One of the examples is that in a situation when a speaker is feeling sad of being left out, he says, "I am useless," to a friend. By hearing the utterance, the hearer is affected and feels sorry. Feeling sorry is the effect of the perlocutionary acts of the utterance, "I am useless." And the next is about speech acts classification. There are 5 classifications in the speech acts. Number 1 is declarative. In declarative, speech act is uttered by a speaker changes the concrete fact or situation. For example, is that when police officers say to a man, "You are under arrest," the status of a man as a free man is changed after he done the crime. So he will put in jail. And number 2 is assertive. Assertive speech is used to state what the speaker considers to be true or false. It represents the world as the speaker believes it is. For example, the earth is flat and roses smell good. And number 3 is expressive. Speaker wants to show what he or she feels about particular situations. Expressive express psychological state such as likes and dislikes, joy, sorrow, pain, and many others. And for the example is "I'm really sorry" and "congratulations." And number four is directive. In directive, the speaker wants to get someone to do something. By giving commands and orders are some of the examples. Number five is commissive. In commissive, the speaker shows his or her intention. It is something to do with showing speaker's intention in the future. It is to express promises, threats, refusal, or pledge. For example, is that I promise to buy you ice cream after school. Next, we're going to discuss about the article that related to the Speech Act. So here is the first article. The title is "A Speech Act Analysis of Teacher Talk in an EFL Classroom." So the purpose of the research are to find out speech act classification mostly used by an EFL teacher while teaching. Why specific classifications are favored and what impact the chosen speech act classification has on the teaching and learning process. This research involving an English teacher teaching an EFL class. The study uses Searle's taxonomy of speech act classification as the instrument. And the next is the procedures. Observation was conducted in the process of collecting the data. The data to be analyzed were collected by videotaping the process of teaching and learning. The speech acts performed by the teacher while teaching in the classroom were subsequently analyzed within the framework of the five major classifications of speech acts developed by Searle. There are assertives, directives, commissives, expressives, and declaratives. The findings of the research shows the frequency of each classification found as the following: 70% for directives, 21% for representative, 6% for expressive, and 3% for commissive. Directive speech acts are used mostly by the teacher because it helps the improvement of the students' productive skills. And the next is, according to the findings, here are speech acts classification used by the teacher to students in an EFL classroom. So number one is declarations, 0% percentage. In this research, the teacher excludes the use of declarative speech acts classification. It is because the declarative itself, which the speaker needs to have a special institutional role to change the world of the hearer. And the next is expressive. It calculated 6% of percentage. The utterance like "thank you" is always mentioned by the teacher after receiving things from the students or whenever her students try to remind her about something. And then the teacher said "I'm sorry" is uttered when the teacher makes mistakes. And the next is representatives, in percentage 21%. And the finding related to representative speech acts obtained from the data includes the act of concluding and repeating students' answer to make sure or conclude what is said as what it is. And then number four is commissive. It 3% of percentage. Commissive speech acts are the least mentioned by the teacher while teaching. So here are the table of commissive speech act utterances that has been delivered by the teacher. And last is directives. It is 70% of the percentage. Directive speech acts dominate the utterance said by the teacher in the teaching process. Mostly, the teacher used directives with the intention ask the students about something and to comment and request the students to do something. So here are the table of directive speech acts utterances by the teacher. Like number one, for the first is, do you know, or what is that? Other expression that rather than saying fine. So it is directive categories of asking. And then the next is, so can you please introduce yourself? This is the directive categories of requesting. And then the next is, I want you to make 2 questions about me and also about person sitting next to you. It is directive categories of commanding. And next is, you can have a seat, Lintang. This is a directive categories of inviting. And the last is, tell me, Lintang. This is directive categories of ordering. Okay, the next is the teacher's reason of using directive speech act dominantly in the research. It is found that the teacher doesn't really realize that she mostly used the directive speech acts while teaching. There are 2 main reasons why the teacher unconsciously used directive speech acts. For the first reason is the teacher carries the principle of CLT or communicative language teaching approach. And the second one is the teacher wants to get students to be actively involved in the classroom activities. And then move to the second article titled The Expressive Speech Act on Ridwan Kamil's comments in Instagram posting about first COVID-19 case in Indonesia. The aim of the study is to see netizen responses to the news about the first patient who infected the coronavirus in Indonesia that Ridwan Kamil posted on Instagram by using the theory of expressive speech act. And for the methods, in this research, the researchers used qualitative descriptive research. The instruments of this research are observation and document. Random sampling is used as a data collection technique. The next is procedure. For the procedures, the researchers organize the data by choosing the comments on Ridwan Kamil's Instagram posting randomly. Then the researchers tried to find out, selected, and classified the expressive speech acts used by the netizens. The last, researchers explained the result of the analysis. And for the findings, the researchers found that the responses given by netizens on Instagram contain an expression of wishing, expression of complaining, and expression of protest. Through the comments written by netizens, they try to give the aspiration to the government to solve the problems that citizens complain or protest about the COVID-19. And here are the table of the amount and percentage of expressive speech acts. Of the classification of expressive speech acts, there are 26 total comments of the expressive speech acts of wishing, the expressive speech acts of complaining, and the expressive speech act of protesting in the observation. The analysis of the expressive speech act of wishing that contained of netizens' comment of Ridwan Kamil's post about the first patient who infected coronavirus on Instagram is shown below. Number 1 is expressive speech act of wishing. From comment 2. Semoga dalam pengawasan tidak terlewati dan semua sehat-sehat saja. Amin. In this comment, the commentator wishes to be under noticed and the commentator wants everyone to be healthy. When the commentators wrote that he or she wants something to happen, it belongs to the expressive speech act of wishing. And number 2, the expressive speech act of complaining. On the comment number 14, Pak, saya koas kedokteran gigi. Pak, cukup alat-alat kedokteran gigi saja yang mahal. Untuk masker, jangan ikut mahal juga. Setiap hari kami butuh untuk kerja pasien. Bantu turunkan harga masker dan perbanyak ketersediaan masker, Pak. Saya mohon. In the comment 14, the commentator needs mask to work, but the price of the mask becomes expensive, so the commentator complains about the price of the mask. Thus, this comment called as expressive speech act of complaining. And then number 3, the expressive speech act of protesting. On comment number 24, stop WNA masuk Indonesia dong. Masker pemerintah yang beli bagiin ke warga. In the comment number 24, the commentator protested about foreigners who are still able to come to Indonesia. The commentator wants the government to stop foreigners come to Indonesia. The commentator also wants the government to give the free mask to citizens. In conclusion of this research, the comments from netizens are not only contain the expressive of wishing, but also contain complaining and protesting, because Ridwan Kamil is the governor of West Java, which is a part of government that should be listening to the aspiration from citizens and also should solve the problems that citizens complained or protested about the COVID-19. That's all from my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. Bye.